Well, hello, I'm Cathan. I'm one of the teachers here at Midwest Alliance for Mindfulness. And we're going to talk about what is mindfulness today and how it can help our relationships. I'm an educator. I've been teaching for over 30 years, multi-level and multi-subject teacher. And that includes mindfulness. And I have been I have been using mindfulness in my life for many decades, but only in the last 5 years has it become particularly important to me. And I have found so much usefulness in the practice of my everyday life. And I have come to really care about sharing that with other people. And I'm here today with Tatiana, who is my friend and colleague. And do you want to introduce yourself, Tatiana, before I talk about mindfulness?
So my name is Tatiana, and I am also a teacher here in Midwest Alliance for Mindfulness. And I used to be a teacher in my country. I used to be a university professor in my country, Venezuela. I has been living here in the United States for 6 years, and I has been with MAN for 2 years. And I discovered mindfulness 13 years ago in a ontological practice certification that I did in my country. And here I has been practicing for 5 years on a regular basis. And now I am taking my teacher training certification with the Midwest Alliance for Mindfulness too. So it's a really pleasure to see you here, and we are going to talk about mindfulness and how mindfulness can benefit us, not only in our relations, is in our life. Yeah.
Welcome back. I'm wondering if everyone is back. Maybe you can wave or say hi, just so we know. Thank you. And I know Carol is having some technical issues. I'm sorry about that, Carol. Well, I hope it felt good to stand up and take a little break. I'm wondering if we can just take one moment before I start the next part of the presentation, just to maybe just to stretch for a minute. So mindful movement is another way to bring awareness to this moment and give us something to train our attention on. So maybe with a big in-breath, we can just stretch our arms out to the side of the room and breathe deeply here for a moment. Reaching out like you can reach beyond your walls. And then maybe reaching up to the ceiling, taking some deep breaths that way, touching the ceiling, maybe even going beyond. A couple of deep breaths. And then very slowly allowing your arms to return back to your lap or your chair. And how about just a little bit of shoulder roll to release any tension there? That's where I seem to carry my stress. So I love to just roll my shoulders. Maybe breathing in, going up, and letting them go when you breathe out. Hmm. There. Now, the next part of our presentation is answering the question, can mindfulness help our relationships? And I say, yes, that's my answer. um, being mindful in our relationships, it brings us closer together instead of separating us, especially during conflict. We often feel disconnected from each other when we disagree about something. Being mindful in our relationships can keep us from being swept away by strong emotions, so that we don't say things we later regret, for example. It can help us understand people's actions and emotions, including our own. And it can open a path toward working together by being aware of our needs as well as the needs of others. So I'd like you to consider these questions. Does your mind ever wander when you are talking with someone? Are you thinking about that awkward conversation you had at work yesterday? Or maybe you're planning what to buy at the grocery store on the way home. Are you really listening? Are you 100% there with that person talking? What is your intention as you come into the conversation? Are you truly trying to understand where they're coming from? Or do you mostly just want to get your point across? Do you feel meaningfully connected to this person? Can you feel a shared humanity between you, even if you don't agree? Considering these questions may bring to light some interesting habits that we have when we're in a conversation, like mind wandering, or thinking about what you're going to say next. Being mindful in a conversation helps us stay with the person talking while also being connected to our own feelings and needs. Earlier, I said that mindfulness helps us notice our feelings. But you might have been thinking, well, I already do that. I know when I'm mad, and I know when I'm sad. I know when I'm happy. But this kind of noticing is a little different. If we realize that everything we do to meet a need. And we feel things because our needs are met or unmet. For example, we may feel joy when we play a game of tennis with a friend because we are meeting our needs for connection, exercise, and play. On the other hand, we may feel really frustrated when someone at work keeps interrupting us in a meeting because we have a need to be heard and respected. When we're not aware of our feelings, they can really push us around. So being mindful helps us notice our feelings and connect them to their underlying needs. Mindfulness in a relationship can open the door to curiosity. Why is curiosity important? When we are mindful in a difficult conversation, for instance, we can notice our breath. We can check in with our feelings. And rather than getting swept away by strong emotions, we can instead focus our attention on curiosity, on what really matters to this person. So rather than listening for what someone wants, we can try listening for why they want it. And what's the benefit of that? When we are truly present and listening deeply with the intention to understand, and the other person feels heard and understood, then they are more likely to want to collaborate. In mindful relationships, we pause, take a breath, we notice, how are we feeling right now? Where do we feel that in the body? For example, if we're getting upset, do we feel a tightness in the chest? Is our throat constricted? Our shoulders start to rise? We can notice those things. In mindful relationships, we get curious. Why are we feeling this way? What really matters to us right now? We can set an intention to connect with other human beings and understand what really matters to them too. And finally, we can seek to collaborate and find a way forward through kindness, empathy, and compassion. Practicing mindfulness skills in your relationships can be powerful. With practice, it can be powerful enough to heal past wounds, to cultivate more meaningful relationships, and to experience your relationships with more peace and joy. But this doesn't usually happen overnight. It does take practice. You may still say things you regret sometimes, or do things you wish you hadn't, or you may still feel hurt by someone else's words or actions. But with practice, these skills do grow within you. They will become easier. You will likely remember more often. And soon, you may notice that your relationships are really better. So let's practice right now. Let's make a beginning to use mindfulness skills in our relationships. I would like to invite you to find a comfortable and upright posture. In this practice, we're going to be bringing some things to mind. So it might be easier if you do close your eyes, but that's up to you. Closing your eyes or keeping a soft gaze, whichever you like. And first, come home to your body. Notice the feeling of the contact with the floor, the chair beneath you. Maybe you even notice internal sensations, like the beating of your heart or air filling your lungs. Taking a few deep breaths, allow yourself to release as you exhale. Then your breathing can return to normal. If your mind wanders at any time during this practice, that is not a problem. It is perfectly natural. Now, as you sit here and breathe, I wonder if you can get curious. Curious about which feelings you are experiencing right now. Perhaps you feel intrigued, hopeful even, Or maybe you're just tired, restless, stressed out. While you're breathing, try to discover the most prominent feeling you have right now. If you can discover it, then your curiosity may be able to look underneath that feeling to see what it is you're needing right now. So if you're feeling hopeful, maybe that's because you need more connection and understanding in your relationships. Or if you're stressed out, maybe that's because you need more safety and peace in the middle of political, social, and economic upheaval. Just ask yourself, what do you need right now? Whenever thoughts from the past or the future arise, there's no need to push them away. Just come back to the body, the breathing, and the curiosity. And thoughts come and go. As soon as you notice it, you are mindful. That is the moment to remember. Remember where you are right now. Breathing. Being curious about your feelings and your needs. Perhaps we can take a few deeper breaths now. In and out. Coming home again to your body. Feeling that chair or floor beneath you. Maybe you hear sounds again. Just remembering where you are right now. And breathing. And when you hear the sound of the bell, I welcome you to open your eyes. Maybe reorient to the room, looking around, noticing things. Welcome back. I'm really curious about what you noticed. Really wondering if you were able to name that feeling that you had. You might have had more than one. We often have many feelings at once. Would anyone like to share if they were able to discover their feelings and needs during that practice?
Hi, this is Ganga again. Um, yeah, so maybe I think this weekend was good for me. So the first feeling that came to me was happiness.
Oh,
But
I'm
I
so glad.
couldn't, but I couldn't, like, I like the way you interrelated the feelings that you mentioned to what's the underlying thing. So if you're hopeful, then there's something you're looking forward to. If you're stressed, that's normally my condition. But I think just yesterday went a little better than what I thought. I think so. I'm still living the happiness from yesterday, I think. Yeah. So I couldn't understand, is there anything beyond happiness? I said, it's good, you're happy. So yeah, I didn't think something beyond. But obviously, my brain, as it usually works, it started, then I thought is, okay, how can I make every day or at least every weekend look like this, because I think, in fact, I had a lot of work today also, official work. So because yesterday was a good day and that was a carry forward of that feeling. So then in the work I was not grumpy about on a Sunday. But otherwise I'm typically grumpy. If you ask me to take an office call on a Sunday, I am not there yet to be very open on my Sunday. But yeah, so then my brain started planning, how can I keep this recursive? Can I just continue? Or then I started doubting, will this be always the case, or is this just a newness? Okay, but I don't know. I think that's my brain just working in all directions rather than just enjoying it, in completeness. Yeah, but I'm sure many people face this. But yeah, I don't know. Then I was telling myself, try to be present. That's the session you're in. So just live in the moment. Don't forget that. Yeah, just some fun stuff on
Oh,
my side. Yeah.
Ganga, you said so many things that were not only appropriate, but so useful to everyone who practices. So many things you brought up. The idea that once it's lovely, we really want to hang on to that, don't we? We really
Yeah.
want to. Can we be happy all day? Could we actually be happy today and tomorrow? And oh gosh, could I make that last all week?
Oh,
And
yeah, I know.
that's so natural for us to want to be in those positive spaces, those pleasant spaces, and of course, there's nothing wrong with wishing for that. It only becomes not useful when we're not present with whatever is going on in us right now, right?
Mm.
So I think it's wonderful that your happiness has carried over to today.
Yeah.
I think that's lovely. And actually, a mindfulness practice can help us do just that. Because when we are feeling stressed out, say, when you do have to take that work call on a Sunday and you're feeling pretty irritated about that, um, noticing that and sitting with that for a minute is important so that we recognize that feeling, and maybe we try to figure out, well, the reason that I'm frustrated by that is because I actually do have a need for leisure, right? We have a need for rest and leisure. And if you're always working, you don't get that. That need is not being met. So recognizing that is good. That helps you set limits to your
Yeah.
work, right? Um, but then once you recognize that and you name that feeling and you know what the need is and you understand the limits you need to set, you can actually maybe then bring to mind that happiness that you had yesterday. And you
Mm.
can say, oh, but I remember how good it felt to be in that space. And it's actually an opportunity to relive it right now. And so that practice can also help us to balance our feelings. When it gets hard, we can also bring to mind times when we felt much better. And we can actually experience that, sort of re-enter that space, re-experience that feeling. And even if it's only for a moment in the midst of the frustration, it's such an important release, right, for that stress when it comes. And it helps us remember, again, that feelings come and go, right? So we may feel super stressed out in this moment or really irritated about this call, but it'll pass if we let it. If we don't keep telling ourselves the story in our head about why that's so irritating,
Right.
they come and they go.
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful that you brought that up. And then you talked about the idea of thoughts interrupting, like planning or things
Yeah.
like that. We plan a lot. I think in this society, we've been brought up that way. It's good to plan, and you have to have a schedule, and you have to have a checklist, right? A to-do
Yes.
list.
For everything.
Yeah, for everything. And we get rather attached to those to-do lists, and they pervade our thoughts sometimes, even when it's no longer useful. We've already looked at the to-do list. We know what's there. And so in this moment, maybe we don't need to think about the to-do list. So sometimes what I find is helpful in those situations is when that list comes to your mind and now you're thinking about it, or that planning, how am I going to do this? One thing you can do is just acknowledge that list or that thought and say, okay, I see the list. Thank you. And then you're done. You move on. So you can acknowledge that. You can recognize that, yes, I know I have that to do. And then be grateful for the reminder, but then not hang on to it. We don't need to hang on to it. So when we let it go, um, it's sort of like when you have a flower, and it needs water. Well, once you water it, you don't just keep watching it for the next day to see what happens, right? We give it the water and then we go about our day. And when we come back, we notice now the leaves are perky and flowers are bright. And so, yeah, we don't have to micromanage, every moment of our thinking or let our thinking micromanage us. So it is lovely when those thoughts come. You don't have to feel guilty about those thoughts coming, or you don't even have to feel like, I don't want that thought. We can actually let them in. Just say, thanks for the reminder, or thanks for the memory, and then we can just move on. So, yeah, but it happens a lot, doesn't it? Our thoughts just
Yeah.
come and come and come and come.
Yeah. And I think there's an unknown anxiety attached to it that, oh, I might forget it. So I
Yes,
even tell myself, if you keep feeling this, keep writing it down somewhere. You won't forget it, right? The sheet is there, but I won't lift the pencil or the pen to write. That's my problem. I've told myself multiple times that even when I'm meditating on the morning, some people say that just write down all that comes in your brain. I mean, some people say that's a good way, but no, I will not lift the pen. I will not write it down, but I'll keep getting it in my thoughts. I relive it a zillion times, and maybe that plan never really happens, or the checklist
right,
never gets done. Such a
right.
waste of my time. But yeah, I do that. I think I'm
Yeah,
sure a lot of us have this situation, but
we
I think
do.
it's an anxiety attached somewhere. I feel with me. I mean, yeah. Will I
Yeah,
finish it? Will the checklist get done? Will you
yeah,
do it?
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, either the checklist will get done or the checklist won't get done, right? And it's and so in this moment, we needn't feel anxious about that, right?
Right.
And in this, when we connect to our body and where we are, how we're feeling right now, then when we just keep remembering to come back to that, then
Right.
maybe some of that anxiety can just soften whenever we become mindful again. Um, the fact that you're noticing that you're thinking about those things is mindfulness. And so when we practice mindfulness, as soon as we notice, that's our opportunity, right? To come back to the breathing, to the remembering, to our bodies, to whatever type of practice we were trying to do. And so that is the practice. You're doing exactly everything perfectly. That's
Hopefully.
exactly how to do it.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
think you have to be meditating 10,000 hours before you never have a thought, and I don't think that's possible, no matter how many hours. So you're
Good to
doing
know.
it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Tatiana, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, that was wonderful what we talk about it and what you explained right now. I think so it's perfect. Yep.
Okay. Well, I do want to impress upon you how helpful and useful I have found mindfulness to be in my relationships. And it has made a difference in several ways. It has helped me feel more connected to the people I really care about because I'm not sitting in the conversation thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm really, really curious about who they are and what they really want, what they're really wanting in their life. And that kind of care just fosters a sense of love and compassion that goes deeper when we allow for that curiosity. So I have definitely felt, I guess I always felt, yes, I'm a compassionate person. But my ability to offer empathy and compassion to other people has greatly deepened through a practice of mindfulness. And my relationships are better because of it. So I wish you a wonderful exploration of mindfulness in your relationships. So, Tatiana, did you want to talk about where they go from here and how to get started?
So there is many ways, and hopefully, and yeah, gratefully for all of us, we have now a lot of resources that we can find, and with this pandemic, we have a lot of resources right now. But I would recommend you, well, that we can start reading a book about mindfulness, and there is plenty of books. And I would like to invite you first, before we start looking for this guidance that we are writing here, like a find a teacher. Of course, you have teachers here, or maybe download a meditation app, and or practicing a guided meditation audio recorder. That we have all of those. You can find all of those resources on internet. But I would like to invite you to go to our website. I don't know if we can share I have the Midwest Alliance website open right now. Can we share that? Or yeah, that would be awesome. So because I would love to invite you to see all the resources that we has been building in these years here in MOM. And we have amazing teachers. Right now we have, I believe, 13, and also we have our first cohort of another 15 students or teachers that they are going to be teachers, certified teachers. And I would love to, let me check, where is Tracy right now? Oh, here we go. those are all the teachers that we have here in Midwest Alliance for Mindfulness. So all of them have classes in our community, and we can see also what we are offering right now. And the offerings part, if you are interested, for example, in mindfulness relationship, Cathan is the person, and she has some classes here. But also we have the meetings that we used to have in regular basis every week, like a general community practice meeting, for example. We used to meet every Thursday, and for us, it's really important to create community. It's not only practice alone. Of course, it's really important that you create like a routine by yourself at home, and start taking at the beginning maybe 15 minutes every day, and you can start creating your own schedule. But it is really helpful to have people that they are doing the same of you, and where you can share or your thoughts, or maybe just sit down with them and just practicing together. That sense of community is really nice, and it's really important when we are practicing mindfulness. So we have, oh my God, thousands of programs like Intro to Mindfulness. If you are beginners, also we have for advanced people. We have yoga nidra, and also classes of yoga for advanced or basic. We have the programs of mindfulness-based stress reduction, for example. Those are really good, and mindfulness compassionate. And now we are virtual, but we hopefully will back in July, and we will follow virtual and presence. Depends of people feeling. Of course, the most important is I hopefully we will back here in this space soon. But I would recommend you to go to our website, and also we have different meditations and resources in our website, like the breathing meditation, the body scan meditation that I guide today, loving kindness meditation, 5 minutes meditation. We have plenty of resources, and also all about if you would like to investigate a little more about the benefits of mindfulness or the science of mindfulness, all the resources are there, so you can check and take a look about everything that we are doing here. And well, I will invite you to just go to the website and just try to, if you would like to try just for one class, or maybe take the membership that we have here. So I don't know if you have another question about what we talked today, any concern, just we are open.